Welcome back to the Jumplify Labs podcast, the show for founders and coaches who want growth without the guesswork. Here we talk about the systems that drive predictable growth, and today we're talking with someone who's built a business to help founders move faster. Hiram Baker is the founder of Baker Industries, the one-stop shop for CEOs and operators who want clarity, support, and a partner network that can solve just about any business problem. He's here to talk about beating analysis paralysis, something he's wrestled for with himself nearly for over a decade before launching. Hiram, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Jay. I appreciate it. Thanks for bringing me on.
Absolutely, brother. Pleasure's all mine. Walk us through the story about the idea you had on your kitchen wall 10 years ago. What was the original spark for that idea?
Wow, now that's a loaded question. Basically, just from my involvement in like corporate America and working at different companies and things like that, and just my personal life experiences, I always felt like I was kind of in the back of my mind, I was kind of coming up or formulating what I felt was like the ultimate business or the ultimate type of consulting firm that could be able to kind of solve any type of problem that would kind of present itself to a business on a very high level, right? So I one day, about I want to say about 10 years ago or so, I kind of like came up with like this idea, created like an organizational flow chart and turned my whole kitchen wall to like a dry mark eraser board, right? And came up with this plan and this formula and basically stared at it for about 9 years. Like literally just analyzing every bit of it, every facet of it. Until finally one day I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna try this, man. Like this is I think this will really be something and I feel led to just do this and I don't want to be on my deathbed saying I never tried it. So yeah, and it kind of all just kind of culminated from there or whatever. And here we are about a year and a half later, and we're doing some really cool things.
How did your background shape the model inside of Baker Industries?
Great question. So basically, how did it shape it? From all of my experiences where I felt like people were being marginalized in situations in corporate America that weren't being addressed. And I felt like if there was a way to directly affect change and flip the formula a little bit, I would do it. And that kind of really was like the motivation and one of the driving factors in wanting to do that. Because, we always talk about how we don't like certain things and then we wait like as a people and as a society for someone else to come along with the solution, right? So I kind of took it upon myself where I was just like, you know what? Nah, man, like I don't like some of the things that I'm seeing in corporate America and versus waiting for someone else to come along and change them. Like, I think I want to take a stab at it. So that was like one of the main driving factors.
And you serve a wide range of needs from funding to strategy. How did you assemble your network to be able to help with all of these different business challenges?
After staring at the board for about 9 years, like I feel like I know my business plan in and out, like a psychopath, if I could say it that way. But like, you know what I mean? So what I did was initially when I first started, I literally just started like aggressively reaching out to and networking with like high level individuals in corporate America, like and just start building and developing relationships with them. And it's being in sales for like the past 15 years reaching out to people on a cold call reaction or something like that. Like that doesn't scare me anyway. So I'm like, all right, fine. Well, you know what? I'm just going to start reaching out to all the CEOs, owners, and founders of these high level companies and organizations and strike up conversations with them to see what it leads to.
Yeah, that must be tough. I know you mentioned that your Myers Briggs was you're more introverted, yet
Yes.
you're making all these outbound dials and you're calling. How about like when you're doing that, do you have to fight yourself or is that just something that I guess you know you need to do it, so you do it?
Yeah, it's kind of like you need to do it. So it is what it is. No man can live on an island and survive, right? Like yeah, and speaking of Myers Briggs, like yeah, I'm by default like an INTJ, right? So you would think just in theory, INTJ is always on an introverted level, which is can be true because it's kind of always going in the background, right? But at some point, you have to adapt a skill set where you have to communicate with people. Like you got to reach out to people. You a closed mouth is not going to get fed. Like we can't all mentally, telepathically tell each other, "Hey, let's do a deal." Like no, you got to talk to somebody, bro, to make it happen. So it is what it is. So it's just par for the course.
Right, exactly. And if you never ask, the answer is always going to be no. So you got
Always,
to at least beg
always.
to ask. Yeah. So Baker Industries has been called the Amazon of businesses. If you had to explain the model in a few sentences, how would you break it down?
Basically, you know how like when you wake up in the morning and with Amazon you have all of these things at your behest, right? Like, we can essentially order anything off Amazon, like any like a thought turns into something that shows up to your doorstep. So think of that in terms of like from a business owner perspective, right? So like as a business owner, there are always a lot of unique needs and caveats that come up on a daily basis in business, and if you had someone or entity that can help you facilitate some of those things or those challenges on a daily basis where it was just as accessible as like reaching out to Amazon and clicking it, why not? So that's basically some of the infrastructure of what I'm kind of building is where we can help facilitate any type of thing or any situation that's going on in business. And it's very calculated where the relationships and the strategic partnerships are layered amongst different industries as well. You know what I mean? So it's not like if you just have a financial need where you need a capital raise or a situation for your company or your project or whatever the situation is, that's not just the sole thing that we can help with. We can help with a number of other things as well. If you need help streamlining your sales approach, if you need help with your marketing, if you need, to find a chief of marketing officer and several other C-level executives to add to your firm, we can help you and facilitate that as well. And it's a very relationship based transaction where we're not just trying to do work on one project and then that's it. Like, no, we're in it for the long haul. We want to be locked in as business partners and working on projects forever. Like, why stop a good thing? Like, if you have successfully completed one project with a client, is that client just going to retire and never do another project? Like, no, like what else you got going on? Like after that point, it just kind of ensues and unfolds or whatever. So yeah.
And what's a recent example of a founder who had an overcomplicated plan and how they actually streamlined it with your help?
Well, as much as I could speak to it, because some of them I would like sign NDAs on, but I can give like a general overview. So
What's a
exactly. So you run across very unique projects, and one of them was we like acquired exclusive listing rights to a very large piece of property on the Baja Peninsula in California. I mean, it's like half the size of a major metropolitan city, right? Like it's huge. So they've been trying to, sell this property and it's been sitting dormant for a while because it's such a large piece of property, right? Like we're talking about for where I live in Yorkville, Illinois. So, and I've ran the numbers, so I know this factually. It's about half the size of the town that I live in, right? So we have basically put together and assembled a team of individuals that we feel can get this done in a very unique fashion or whatever. We presented several different proposals to ownership and things like that where things are from what when we got it, it was just sitting dormant. Like nothing was happening with this project. It was the dead project. But now we have actually made headway and we're looking at other ways to capitalize on the deal. You know what I mean? So and the owners and the people who are involved in it are like, oh wow, we never thought of doing it this way. And it's like, well, yeah, that's why you brought us on because you wanted a different approach. You wanted someone who's kind of come with some out of the box thinking and some unconventional ways to get this done. Obviously, that are all still legal. So that's a very direct example. And that's something that we're actually still presently working on right now.
and what's the bottleneck inside of Baker Industries as you scale your partnership network?
For me, like I've stared at this concept, this idea for years and years, and in my mind, I know what it has the potential to grow to and what it can be, right? So in my mind, I'm already there. Like my company is already worth $30 billion. Like I'm somewhere on a yacht. But in reality, I'm still building up all of these things that I know where at some point in time, when you look at it from a, empirically, like looking at a graph, like, the time is going to intersect. Like, you just know because you've done the numbers, you've done the math, you've researched the hell out of it. You know what I mean? Like, you have really immersed yourself into this where you're like, all right, if this doesn't work, well then, yeah. Where you're just like, where it's hard to explain when you're so sure of something. I can never argue with anyone that 2 + 2 = 4, right? We know that, like, factually speaking, that's how sure I am of this. You know what I mean? In the same way.
Mhm.
And it's unwavering, and I'm dedicated to the goal and the vision, like, period. Like, and that's just what it is.
Yeah. And as you expand your model, what type of founder or operator do you want to work with most?
It doesn't matter, any industry, all encompassing. But if I had to zero in on it, in a lot of situations, especially in private equity and debt and things like that, because we're working on a lot of stuff with that right now. Certain things just kind of have a tendency to just, you look up and you're working on like 3 or 4 of the same type of projects, right? People who got money, man. Like, if here's the thing, and when you get pitch decks, you get people, it's kind of like a real life Shark Tank. Like, every day is like Shark Tank. So imagine a ton of people coming up on Shark Tank, and for every single one, instead of saying, I have $1 million in sales and this is what we're doing, or this is what we got it to, they all say, I got $1 billion idea. I'm not willing to put any money behind it. Can you help me fund it? And I've never done what I'm asking you to do before, nor do I have a team of people assembled who can help facilitate this, who have the experience, right? Like, so you run into a lot of that, man, and this is fine. But, like, my thing is, be willing to put some type of skin in the game. Like, I don't care if it's $10,000, $100,000, something, because oh, I got to cut in the grass. I don't understand why that's still cutting the grass, but anyway, um, you have to be willing to make the sacrifice that you are asking for your business. You know what I mean? So if there's a specific client, I will want someone who's willing to make a sacrifice. So don't tell me you have no money to put towards your dream or your goal, or not willing to make any intense sacrifices to make it happen. And I'm not just saying that to say that, because I've made sacrifices for my own business, and I know tons of other business owners who have as well. So that's who I'm looking for if I really had to zero in. But anybody, we're open. So yeah,
Okay, I gotcha. And for someone listening who feels stuck, what's the first step to working with you?
I'll just reach out. Just reach out to
Where
me.
can they reach out to you?
They can get a hold of me on LinkedIn, man. Hiram Baker. Yeah, Chicagoland area. Get a hold of me.
Okay, and what what makes a founder say yes versus a no for you?
Once I have a conversation with a person, I've never heard a no about them, at least at minimum connecting with me and seeing where some synergies are, or at minimum expanding our business network. If it's a no, we just never got past like the greeting point, where doing some cold outreach where they're actually open and receptive to it. But once I
Yeah,
actually speak to someone, I'm like, there's no reason for us not to connect on some potential business opportunities, if not in the moment, maybe down
yeah.
the line. Or hell, man, maybe I'm throwing a business conference and I want to invite everybody that I know to it. And you guys can meet some cool people there, and business opportunities kind of come out of that. Like, so yeah, talk to somebody. It's never enough.
I was leading to the question. I asked that question because you shared your birthday party test for business relationships. You remember?
Yeah, I remember we talked about that. Yeah.
Yeah,
So basically, where if I'm not comfortable inviting you to my birthday party or my kid's birthday party, then we shouldn't be doing business together. you know,
yeah,
because we got to trust each other, man. And that's not to say that I'm about to invite everyone that I know to my kid's birthday party, but like, there has to be a level of respect and trust where I'm like, okay, like, I'm comfortable with this person, or, and that's a huge cue too, because always trust your gut, man. Like if you're in a business dealing or a deal or anything in life and you feel like, your spidey sense is going off, or your intuition is going off, or just some level of discernment, pause, take a moment, and kind of take a step back and look at the deal from a bird's eye view to figure out, well, maybe I shouldn't do this. And because not all money is good money. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Well, Hiram, thanks for sharing where you're at on LinkedIn. If you like conversations like this, if you want to reach out to Hiram, definitely do so. He shared that his LinkedIn is at Hiram Baker. If you do like more conversations like this, though, and you want to hear from multiple leaders that are actually building their business, make sure to tune in to Jump Labs for a lot more. My name is Jay. Thanks so much, and we'll talk again soon.